Ketchup and Hustle is a podcast by two dadpreneurs and co-founders of Awesome Sauce. Follow us, Paul and Carl, the taller and shorter co-founders, on our journey as we build a business that is completely disrupting the sauce industry.
We are back. I'm Chef Carl.
And I'm Chef Paul.
For another episode of Ketchup and Hustle. Today, we're going to talk about the power of PR.
Yes, we are, Carl.
So, Paul, tell me, as we jump into this, tell me, what is PR?
What is PR to me?
Just in general, yeah, what is PR?
In general, PR, as I understand it, as a layman, if you will.
As a lay person.
That's right, is that it is our opportunity to get press and relations out to the world in ways that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to. So whether it's newspapers or radio or podcasts or any other opportunity to post and put out about Awesome Sauce, and I guess there's a couple kinds of PR. There's earned PR and there's paid PR. And so, we can dive a little bit deeper into it as we go along. But
we start chopping it up a little bit.
That is about what PR means to me, if that's the question that you're asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's ways, it's the things that promote our business to the public.
I think that's a fair way of doing it.
The relations.
And as it relates to Awesome Sauce specifically, PR has been a very powerful tool for us, in my opinion.
Yes.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
I think so. I think it's probably been the most consistent non-product related thing that we've been able to do.
I totally agree.
And we've had key partners to help us do that.
Tell us
two. Well, one is Sandbox, who's helping record this podcast. So shout out to Taylor and Vince on Sandbox Productions.
Love SBX all the time. Thank you for lifting that up.
Yes. And then Katie Bono from Bond Communications is also deep in the CPG world, so a bit more focused on the food side, but damn, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, Bondcom has been our PR partners kind of in the truest sense, where they have, our story, they've got our pictures, they've got sort of a press release about Awesome Sauce, and they're pushing that out to different channels, different media at the appropriate time. And
then on the SBX side, it's more less like news focused content and more podcast videos, like the huge partners from the show.
Also promotional and event. I think there's a whole side on that side that SBX does for us, and then there's the sort of what I believe is the more traditional sort of media push,
which gives us as a mix a pretty broad range. I mean, we're going from crushing tailgates to getting in food business news.
Yeah, and what we have seen is that when eyes are on the PR side, which is different from paid advertising.
Yes.
That we are also doing on social media through Meta, through Facebook, and through Instagram, and soon through TikTok and the likes.
All the stuff.
So I guess in a way we're comparing, I think, the two types of promotion that we've done most consistently.
Yes.
One is through paid social and one is through PR.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I meant it. Yes, I in my head, the PR side has this sort of like split.
Yep.
I think, and what's really cool is to be able to see the back end side of like the podcast and the event piece of it. Like there's a lot that goes behind that.
Yep.
I don't think people understand like the coordination of it.
Yep.
And then there's a back end side of just straight up doing interviews and writing articles. And there's a lot that goes into that too. It's more sort of back end research to understand who's the best writer, and on the other side, it's more research of understanding the event and how your product will relate and engage. And so, in my head, there's like two avenues of the PR as it relates to us, and maybe there's companies out there who see those as completely different words. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. But let's frame this up for our listeners. We've had some really important, things that have come through our PR efforts.
Yeah, and let's relate it to the last episode as well. So we come off of this trip to Minnesota that we told you guys about, and with a focus on how do we get into B2B. What B2B means to us is universities and stadiums, so high volume high volume locations.
Food service. Some people, when we
food
say
service.
B2B, some people mean food service. When they say
Vice
food
versa,
service,
vice versa.
whatever.
So we did a little PR stunt on our own, and we can dive into it a little bit. We did a little PR stunt on our own.
Yep.
That had the successes that it had, but it led to an additional PR opportunity, which allowed us to
let's
shout out somebody that then.
we are talking totally theoretical. Let's give them something to grab onto.
Give it to us.
So here's what I'll say. In August, what we found out is that the Heinz lost the naming rights to the Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium.
Wow, wow, wow.
Very sad day for Pennsylvania.
All of Pennsylvania.
Who all of Pennsylvania, I would say is fair, do feel some Heinz ownership or some.
Absolutely. This is the ketchup capital of the world.
And so when all of a sudden, when the Giant removes itself from an iconic stadium.
What do two dads do?
You go and you poke the bear.
You poke the bear. We went and cleaned up after a Ketchup Giant.
And so we did with both SBX and with Bond Communications. We put out and created a campaign around finding a stadium in Pennsylvania that we could name Awesome Stadium or Awesome Arena, you name it, so that we could keep Pennsylvania the sauce capital of the world.
Yeah, and I think that for us in our story personally,
Yep.
it related because we come from coaching, and so there's this deep connection to sport and what that does. And
Yep.
so we're like, man, how cool would it be to take the company that we just started, sport that we love, and combine them. And so let's find a stadium to get our product in there and promote it.
Yeah, I mean, plus Heinz has egg on its face because it just stepped away from a.
It has egg on its face.
It's got egg on its face. Was it the saying, or do you disagree with?
That's the saying, straight up.
They have egg on their face, no doubt about it.
That is an 1870s reference. Thank you, Paul.
I don't mind that. Anyway, we saw a moment of weakness in Heinz, and we thought this is the time to poke the bear in a meaningful way. And
as much as we could.
And maybe, just maybe, and I think this is the thing with PR, maybe it goes viral.
Maybe it catches a little fire.
Maybe it catches fire. Maybe someone who sees it gets excited about it. Yep.
Our campaign to rename a stadium landed us what?
Not a whole lot. We did what we did. So we did a GoFundMe where we raised
Indiegogo.
An Indiegogo when we said we wanted to raise $57 million to name a stadium. So
a nod to the Heinz 57,
no doubt. So we had a little fundraise behind naming a new stadium, and that's kind of that's what the play was.
Shout out to Ken Avalon. He jumped in there.
And so we did not hit our $57 million goal, but what did come, and I think what you were alluding to, was that
Philadelphia Inquirer.
The Inquirer saw that. We got a little bit of press from the renaming the stadium in PA thing, and the Inquirer read some of that and picked up on that and said, "Who are these guys in our backyard?
Let's interview them."
And so the campaign that we originally started with to rename a sauce stadium in PA,
landed us
in an article in the Inquirer.
The article in the Inquirer gave us the platform
to do another kind of secondary
push
of who we are and what we're about in the largest publication in Philadelphia.
Yes,
by far. And so getting an Inquirer article, for us was a
big deal,
a nice big deal.
We took the opportunity and we said, we're looking for a stadium in Philadelphia.
And so this is the crazy part, is that when you have the opportunity to do this PR, when the Inquirer is interviewing you, we kind of said to the world, let us tell you where we're headed and where we'd like to be.
Absolutely.
And so we said we'd like to be, for example, in a stadium in Philadelphia. And when the Inquirer published that article, they published it online and in print. Sort of great in print, full page spread.
We gotta frame that in the office.
I just got it, by the way. Yeah.
Do we have frames?
I'll get a frame.
Okay.
So the stadium that we referenced and that we spoke about in the article called us.
Boom. Partnerships on the phone.
That's crazy to me.
From the feeble efforts of trying to rename the Steelers Stadium to a prominent stadium in Philadelphia
calling us to say, hey, we saw that you mentioned us in your article.
That's not nothing.
And that's, I think, we're trying to demonstrate is the power of this media.
And also, I think as you listen to this, you are starting. There's an opportunistic component to what we are doing.
100%.
Like an opportunity comes knocking, and you quickly have to decide: do you go for it or not? There shouldn't be this like, maybe we go for it, and you can like Vince will give us the stink eye on. Did you go with it the right way and not? But at least we went for it.
Yeah,
the best we could do.
We went for it in that moment.
We went for it in that moment.
we
with
tried.
what we could. We tried, and here we are.
And it turned. Like it wasn't the most perfect effort. The original thing, the original goal, the original idea wasn't perfectly executed, or wasn't the perfect idea when it was all said and done. But we did it. And what it led to future and new opportunity in spaces that were really important to us.
So now one of the first steps in this new plan for us is how do you get into a new stadium? And so now we are in conversation with Stadium in the Philadelphia area that would be able to have our sauce in a meaningful way and prove this business model for us.
Let's go.
Which is
Let's go.
It's not nothing.
It's everything.
It's not nothing.
It is everything. It is truly unique.
Now, in addition to that, though, I think it's important to also talk about some of the other PR things. Like, I'm thinking through my head some of the PR that's gone out. One about the Minnesota Twins and Techstars.
Yep.
So as they go, they put it out to the MLB and all the eyes on baseball, as well as all the eyes that are looking at Accelerator, saying, here's a ketchup company doing something different.
For sure.
Right?
Sure. There was another one. We had an article written about us in Food Business News. We may have mentioned it on a previous episode.
And that landed us our busiest week yet.
That people were buying. I mean, people saw that in the food industry and were buying our shit in ways that.
And that doesn't stop. We just got one last week where you look at where that order came from and you're like, oh, shit.
Food Business News article.
Where'd you find us? And they were like, oh, my colleague took a screenshot of this.
That's right, Carl.
And also, from that,
yes,
people are sending that around. What other call did we get?
We got a call from Walmart.
Boom.
I mean, straight up, we get a call from Walmart because a friend, the buyer of ketchup and dipping sauces calls us from Walmart. There's a singular buyer who manages
ketchup and dipping
for the entire 4,500 stores of Walmart in the U.S.
Oh, golly.
And she calls us and says, hey guys, someone forwarded along an article about you and said, I got to check this out.
And I wanted to know more.
And so it's that kind of stuff that you wonder, like, what you don't know is, will Walmart want to bring us in store, right? And
not sure.
And we don't know yet. But if, let's say they do, that whole thing would have been started because of an article that
Food Business News.
That Food Business News wrote up about us.
We sent out product to a writer. They liked it. They said, this is interesting. This is content we could build.
It's crazy to me. And that really sort of, in some ways, resembles or models really what doing business is this idea of kind of this opportunistic pursuit of opportunity.
But here's an interesting question though for you.
Yeah.
I think as a startup founder, if you're running with anything that's a new concept, so not a complete Me Too mousetrap, you know where I'm going with this.
Go on.
You have the question of, when is it too early to put yourself out there? Right? Because
you worry about people copying you, or
or somebody defaming it, right? They defame it too early, and you're in the rubble, right? Like when is it too early to say, here's who we are and here's what we're doing? Because a lot of what you're doing is saying your vision. You're saying this is what we want to do. We're here, but we want to get there. And so when is it too early? You get it in front. I mean, for us, McCormick's buying our shit. McCormick's a big guy.
Yeah.
It's a $24 billion company working in dry powders. And so when is it too early, and when do you you still have a little
it gives me a little agita. You still say it like that, and I get a
goddamn. So that's an interesting piece of this PR world, and just content in general is
it's a good question you ask. When is it too early? I wrestled with that early on.
Yeah, you did.
because
I'm a full exposure kind of guy. And you're like, you know,
let's like to keep it close to the vest for a minute and
Yeah.
make sure that when
Keep
we
your
show
buttons.
when we show our cards, they're legit.
oh yeah, no,
Carl's
no.
like, look at these non-legit cards.
Look at all of them. We've got a lot. We've collected.
But it is interesting because if we're just going to talk to each other all the time about awesome sauce and we don't put it out there, we got nothing.
So I'm a new founder. I'm coming to you. Let's go tech. I'm coming to you with the idea of an app. And I
Ooh.
think the app is going to change the way people order food on demand. So you got players in the industry who are big, Ubers and Grubhubs and all that.
Okay.
And I'm like, we have something unique. We're 2 months in.
Get a PR firm.
Get a PR firm?
I mean, honestly, it's been one of the best moves we've done, in my opinion, and I believe that.
So you rely on the PR firm to help guide like when to put things out.
I don't
Is that
know
what you're
about
saying?
help. No, not help guide when to put things out. It's just to start putting shit out.
So you're getting them to help start pumping content.
And yes, and they will guide it. I mean, I think, I'm not getting them necessarily to make all those decisions, but yes, I do want their guidance about when it makes sense and all that. But I guess my point is early and often, and I'm not sure everyone would agree with me. I
don't know if 6 months ago Paul would be as bullish on that answer.
No, we definitely wouldn't. I don't know if I'm not sure I was fully bought into us needing a PR firm. I think a lot of our advisors probably would still say they're not fully bought into us needing a PR firm. But my pushback is, of all the things that we've paid for, I think it's returned the most value.
Absolutely.
Across the board.
And I think it has like future value as well, because you can start to point to, look at all the things that we've done. We've made a podcast. We've been to these events. We've been published in this article. We've been interviewed by this person. Like all of those assets, people start to look at and they say, okay.
Well, it is a little bit of a snowball effect. And I guess
Right.
maybe we've been kind of saying that without saying that, is that
Exactly. Yep.
the more you're out there, the more someone you run into someone who hasn't seen you before, the more they push it and they turn it into 5 more eyeballs, and that person turns it into 5,000 eyeballs, and so it just one leads to the other.
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that. When you start to look at the data behind it, and you're like, okay, how many eyes is this getting? How many readers does this get? How many watchers of this platform? And it starts to say like 47 million. You're like, what? How is that?
Uh-huh.
How does that even make sense?
It doesn't.
Yeah. So if you're listening, the numbers just don't make sense. That's what you need to walk away with. Is numbers don't make sense.
But so in addition to these sort of, I think what we've talked about is different opportunities, and we've been connected with, one opportunity has led to the next opportunities, and led to the next through PR. It's also led to sales, and so like the Inquirer article comes out, and
Boom, spiky
for a week.
Yeah.
By the way, like not just a day.
It was meaningful,
and it kind of continued to flow, and we can see now that the impact of that Inquirer article from 3 weeks ago has waned.
Yeah.
It's no longer present. Things have slowed down a little bit for us, just because our paid social isn't operating. It's not as effective. Like, it's just not as effective right now.
It's so expensive on, like, if you're thinking the advertising side of going direct on social, it is expensive to get eyeballs there. And I mean, I think it's expensive. It's expensive anywhere, but on the PR side, I think the snowball effect is actually really compelling. Now, I'm sure there's arguments on the social side, and we'll get into a social post and we're social stuff later.
And we're still doing social.
We're still doing that.
Like,
but I think what's really cool is you just start to see this. I mean, one more that I'll leave us with in the PR world is, and shout out to Herefor and Lisa for the work that they've done on our packaging and our designs.
Yes. Yeah, I know where you're going.
So there's Dieline is a very well-known design entity. So they're looking at companies who are putting products into the world, and they are, I mean, from my perspective, incredible outlet to be on. And we were on it 3 times.
Yeah.
So they're looking at the packaging that's going out. They're looking at, is it sustainable packaging? Is it modern design? Like, how is it interacting with its customers? And they're promoting that. And in our world, our CPG world, people watch that. And so
Yes.
us being on there 3 times is meaningful and has led to us sort of rolling into new things like the Shelfie Awards.
Totally. And I guess the other thing that I'll say about PR, and this is, now that we're talking about this, it's so funny to come back full circle, where very early on, and we're looking at what's the cost to acquire a customer, and is paid advertising on social effective, and how are we going to do this? How are we actually going to sell a product?
Yep.
We looked at each other. I don't know if you remember this. We looked at each other and we said, I think our superpower is potentially grabbing eyeballs through PR and PR opportunities, whether it be that interviews,
events,
morning shows,
Yep.
TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's enough, the caricature that we take on through Awesome Sauce, the dadpreneurs, the matching hats and shoes and aprons.
Yep.
Like we have, we are willing, I mean, a baseline.
We check a lot of boxes.
We are willing to put ourselves out there in a way, and there's enough personality. Let's say
that's a good point. I think we check enough boxes. Like if you have to kind of be honest with yourself and understand if you're a wet noodle or if you've got a structure to stand on.
Well, I don't know if we don't have. I mean, we're not wet noodles, but I don't know if we have a structure to stand on. But we are willing participants.
Well, I think that's enough of a structure. Like if you think of from a PR firm, they need to know that what they're putting out is going to garner the eyeballs.
Uh-huh.
And if you're seeing 2 dads wearing matching shoes, you're like, wait a second, those guys are kind of old and not cool. Why are they doing something cool? And then you're like, oh, they're doing condiments. Like that's not cool. But wait a second, it's a little different. Oh shit, they're going in stadiums. Oh wait, it's a sustainability play. Oh wow, their packaging is going like it. I think there's a structure to stand on there. Where from a PR's perspective, it's almost like a 2-way street. They can't look at something and be like, dude, I think that's fucking boring.
Yeah,
they've got to be like, hey,
I see it.
At least I see it and think it's cool.
Yeah.
So if it lands, my peers will. And so we're not coming at it as wet noodles.
No, it's fair. I mean, and I keep on saying we're willing to do it. I think we're willing to do it with energy.
Yeah.
And so when those
look at us right here. We have a goddamn podcast telling all the people about how we're building our company.
We're here for it.
And that's part of like the relating to the public and promoting what we're doing. Like
and ultimately part of this, in my opinion, is that someone is going to listen to this who's going to be like, that's a really fucking cool idea. I like those guys. I like what they're doing.
I feel like I know them because I've listened to them for.
Let me introduce them to someone. Let me just, let me pass this along. And that's really what this has been about for us through the our PR efforts and strategy.
Absolutely. So if you're hearing this and you're working either next to or inside of the PR world, take this as a thank you from
100% thank you.
The founders of Awesome Sauce. We
see
you, we hear you, we appreciate you, we understand the value that you bring. And we're super fucking pumped about it.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep on leaning heavy into PR because it's been effective for us.
Hell yeah,
we've got a leg up on others trying to do it because we show up.
That's it. You show up
first and foremost, and and it's led to opportunity. It's led to real opportunity. And with that opportunity, thank you guys for listening to us and sticking with us through this journey. Hit the button over here somewhere. Ooh. I got it. Nailed it, Carl.
Awesomesauce.co on social. Find yourselves a starter packet if you haven't already. If you have, we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Peace.